This section here traditionally would have been filled with U.S. corn. Customers love it because it's a great product. What started as a big display has been shrunk.
In response to U.S. tariffs and President Trump's threats to annex Canada, 71% of Canadian consumers say they plan to buy fewer American products this year. It's already hitting home. The U.S. economy could lose up to 0.3% of its GDP, about $90 billion, in 2025, driven by boycotts of American goods and a decline in foreign tourism. From grocery stores in Toronto to border towns in Buffalo, from vineyards in California to Tesla showrooms in Europe, the ripple effects are impossible to ignore. So what impact is this boycott really having on U.S. goods and travel? And is this just a short-term political statement or a permanent shift in buying behavior around the world? Let's dig into the numbers, the stories, and even the everyday purchases that now carry political weight. Because behind every shopping cart, there's more than just goods at stake. And don't forget, subscribe for more deep dives into the headlines, the numbers behind the noise, and the stories the politicians would rather you ignore. Please note, the content presented here is based on publicly available information and independent analysis. All statements are made for informational and discussion purposes only, and viewers are encouraged to consult multiple sources for a more complete understanding. The backlash is visible in places like Vince's Market, a Canadian grocery chain with 4 locations and 30,000 customers weekly. Owner Giancarlo Marchi says shoppers now demand as much Canadian product as possible, and frustration is high when they see too much U.S. inventory. If there's a Canadian version and an American version, he says, we've probably already delisted the American one. This movement began gaining momentum in March 2024, when tariff threats dominated the news and Canadian flags filled store aisles. Before that, during the off-season, up to 70% of Vince's produce came from the U.S. Today, it's closer to 30%. Domestic goods now get special labels, and apps like MapleScan let shoppers photograph a product to instantly check its origin, company history, and Canadian ties. But some items remain hard to replace, especially berries, lettuce, citrus, and certain pears, which still come largely from the U.S. Canada, is America's second-largest food export market, worth $28.4 billion in 2024. But the boycott is impacting much more than produce. Even global brands are feeling it. Coca-Cola bottles drinks in Ontario, Lay's uses Canadian potatoes. But once customers began avoiding them, both brands added Made in Canada labels in large print. Alcohol has taken the hardest hit. Earlier this year, multiple Canadian provinces pulled American wines, beers, and spirits from shelves.
Inside the LCBO, the American whiskeys, the Kentucky bourbons that Premier Doug Ford has really honed in on, California wines, any U.S. ready-to-drink cocktails, gone from the shelves. That's 3,600 products from 35 U.S. states no longer available. The booze has already been bought and paid for by the LCBO, pulling it off of the shelves at this point, driven by principle. Signs reading it's for the good of Ontario.
In March, Canada imposed a 25% tariff on all U.S. alcohol products, a move that could cost 31,000 American jobs in distilled spirits alone. At Vince's Market, California cabs and blends once made up 35 to 40% of red wine sales, worth $60,000 per week. That business has evaporated, replaced with bottles from France, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. In 2024, Canada was the U.S.'s top alcohol export market, worth $435 million in wine, $221 million in spirits, and $41 million in beer. Now the Buy Canada movement has added $10 billion to Canada's economy. Marchi believes that even if the tariff dispute is resolved, not every customer will return to American goods. One shopper recently told him, "You have too much American product. I'm not coming back." The pushback isn't limited to Canada. More Canadians visit the U.S. each year than any other nationality, 20 million in 2024, spending $20.5 billion. But travel searches from Canada to the U.S. dropped 50% this spring. Drive traffic fell nearly 30% in March. Air travel declined 15%. Many are vacationing in Canada or heading to Europe instead. Border businesses, from Michigan's Detroit-Windsor corridor to Buffalo, New York, are reporting plunging revenues and uncertainty over survival. Across the Atlantic, European tourism to the U.S. is also down. Summer bookings from Europe fell 25%, costing the U.S. an estimated $12.5 billion in international visitor spending compared to 2024. International travelers contribute about $200 billion annually to the U.S. economy, more than all agricultural exports combined. And officials warn that discouraging them is digging a deeper hole for jobs and local economies. The consumer backlash has spread to European markets as well. After Trump's comments about annexing Greenland, 44% of European consumers said they'd reduce purchases of American goods. Big brands like Tesla and McDonald's have become symbolic targets. Tesla's European car sales have fallen for 5 straight months, plunging 28% in May, hurt by brand damage, rising competition, and CEO Elon Musk's political stances. The fallout from America's trade wars is no longer just about tariffs and boycotts. Global GDP growth is projected to slow by nearly 0.5 percentage points, a big hit when annual growth hovers around 3.5% to 4%. Some U.S. manufacturers are raising prices to offset shrinking overseas sales, while others wait for tensions to ease. Experts predict some permanent damage to American brands, but also hope that trade will eventually rebalance, serving customers on both sides of the border. So, will the Buy Canada movement and its global counterparts fade away? Or are we witnessing the start of a lasting rebranding of America in the eyes of its closest allies? What do you think? Is this a temporary boycott fueled by politics or the new normal for global trade? Share your thoughts below. And if you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, subscribe for context you won't find in the headlines.